Hey everyone. You're going to be part of our giant A/B test here because I can't hear Erin, but my colleague can hear Erin. So tell us, Erin say hi and tell us if anyone else can hear Erin?
Hi everyone. Can you hear me? This will be interesting if not. Let's
Does
see what
anyone else hear Erin right now?
Let's see. I don't think that they're
Anyone?
caught up to us yet. Maybe.
Yes. Okay. So clearly, this is great.
We did it.
Something's wrong with. For some reason, I am hilariously going to be deprived of Erin's beautiful voice, but she's very emphatic on screen, and everyone else is hearing Erin, so we're just going to roll with it. Hi, everyone. I'm Nadia. I work at Substack on our editorial and our community, and we're here to learn from Erin about getting to know your subscribers. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. There is a chat box that most of you have discovered by this point. Feel free to use that liberally. Please be nice to each other. There are a lot of other Substack writers here, as I'm sure you're seeing, so definitely say hi. Let us know where you're from, what you write about. That'd be great. We are going to do a 15-minute Q&A at the end. So if you want to ask a question of Erin, use the Ask a Question button that's kind of like in this bottom middle of your toolbar. Put questions in there. We'll use that to inform the Q&A at the end. And even if you don't have a question to ask, you can go in there and like upvote other people's questions to indicate what you're interested in. So definitely check that out. I think that's it. So with that, I'm very excited to introduce Erin Moon, the silent speaker on my end that hopefully everyone else can hear, who writes the Swipe Up. I stumbled upon the Swipe Up shortly after I joined Substack, and I was just sort of like blown away by this like weird little cult that she's created, hopefully unintentionally. But the premise of her newsletter is super simple. It's just Erin sharing a bunch of links that she, I guess, were too long to share on Instagram. And now it's sort of evolved into this community of Lil Swipes, which I think is a really cute name. And they get together and they chat in these discussion threads every week. And so, yeah, if you're one of these people who's starting to see all these like strangers appear in your email list and you're wondering like who is signing up for a newsletter, should I be talking to them, what's going on, Erin is going to tell us how she did it. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Erin and mute myself, and I'll also share Erin's newsletter in chat so you guys can see it.
Thanks, Nadia.
Take it away, Erin.
Even though you can't hear me. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to chat with you today. I'm going to open up my keynote and real quick so I can share the screen with you guys. I'm super excited to chat with you today about turning your followers into friends. It's sort of a weird world that we live in on Substack and on the internet. A lot of people, they have these communities, and my community just sort of developed spontaneously, which was really cool and a really fun thing that happened. So my name is Erin Moon, and my day job is that I work for a media group, a podcasting group called the Podcast Media Group, and our whole shebang is that we do the podcast with Max and Jamie. I'm the COO. I do a lot of operations, and then we also do the Bible Binge. And I'm the resident Bible scholar on the Bible Binge. And so that's my day job. But my fake job is the Swipe Up and getting to write for my community of people that have sort of followed me on the internet. I get asked the question a lot. Why are you talking to strangers on the internet? It's a weird question. I am 37. I grew up at the beginning of like AOL chat rooms, and people were like leery of strangers on the internet. But now we know that strangers can be a really fun place on the internet. And so the short answer to that question is that I like it. I like the internet. I like the people on it because I'm careful with how I'm curating my feeds. And so I wanted to really, the reason I started my newsletter was that maybe someone in traditional publishing would take me seriously if I had a newsletter following. I started on MailChimp. MailChimp was massively frustrating to me It felt really sterile. The other reason that I started a newsletter is because I didn't have 10,000 followers on Instagram, and I wanted an easy way to share links. And thus the swipe up was born. You know, everybody on Instagram is always like, swipe up. I wanted a place where I could share my own links. So it started as a traditional newsletter on MailChimp. I got really frustrated with MailChimp. It was sterile. It cost way too much. I hated that. And then it just began as a collection of weird things I loved on the internet. I was really bummed about, I don't know, the state of the world. And so I just wanted a place where I could collect things that I liked. There were good things, there were bad, good things on the internet and in real life that I wanted to share with people. So MailChimp just flat out annoyed me. And two friends of mine, JC Verdicio and Knox McCoy, who both have great Substacks, they mentioned that they were trying out this new platform called Substack. They have really incredible spaces. I liked the audio option a lot. I had an extremely long newsletter because I'm very wordy, and I dipped in and I really liked it. Just a few stats about me. I have almost 8,500 subscribers with a 52% open rate. The industry average is somewhere around 15 to 25%. So we have a thriving and engaged community. The Swipe Up has been called the best newsletter on the internet, hyperbolically, by my mom. So how did we get here? I asked myself 3 questions about the Swipe Up. The first one is, who are these people? The second one is, what do they want? And the third one is, how do I give it to them? I had to get to know the people behind the Swipe Up. And I wanted to first, with this first question, who are these people? The best way that I found to do this was through a survey. I basically just surveyed my entire newsletter and said, I want your opinion. These are some of the responses that I got. I asked about what other newsletters they liked. I asked about what they liked about it. Is there something that they skip over? All of that kind of thing. And then if they had any other suggestions or feedback, I thought that was really important too. And I began to make connections between what I liked and what they liked, and where we began to kind of go around with each other. So the survey was helpful for me to understand people as data points, not as data points, but as humans. And it's always helpful to offer an incentive when you do a survey, like a Starbucks gift card or something else. And you have to be open to criticism and feedback and things that maybe you like about your platform that other people don't like. And that's okay. It's okay to not be for everyone, basically. So what did I discover? I discovered that these people were just as nuanced and weird as me. You could not put them in a box, and I couldn't cater anything to them because they were not a monolith. So that was really helpful for me to know. They were very, very, very different, which was exciting for me. I was really thrilled that I wasn't necessarily speaking to a bunch of the same people over and over again. So the next question was, what do they want? I really had to ask myself, before I could ask the question of what do they want, I had to ask myself, what do I want? What do I want to write about? What is important to me? And so there's a Frederick Buechner quote, and the thing that I really wanted was, I wanted to be heard. I wanted to belong to a place. I contain multitudes, and I shouldn't assume that no one else contains multitudes. And I wanted internet spaces of nuance and learning. So I thought that probably they want to be heard. They want to belong. They also contain multitudes, and they also want internet spaces of nuance and learning. I also like just the lulls. Like, I'm here for the lulls. And so that's a lot of what my newsletter is too. It's just funny stuff that I like on the internet. There's a Frederick Buechner quote: "The place God calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet." I love Frederick Buechner. I just adjusted this quote a tiny bit to understand kind of the way I look at my newsletter. The place Substack calls you to is the place where your weird quirks and the world's desire for community and belonging meet. Apologies to Mr. Buechner on that one. So how do you give what the people want to them? Where does my writing and my community building bring connection? That was something that was really important to me to ask. I really had to ask myself all of these things. Where are the points where we come together and we meet? So we're going to kind of sit in that for just a little bit. So my first suggestion is to allow comments. We all know that Substack has thread options. I know we have private Substacks now, which is really cool. I was afraid to, I was genuinely afraid to open up the conversation to comments. They're scary because what if they're bad? Or worse, what if nobody responds? I think you have to take the risk. And you have to be a part of the conversation, not just be the leader of the conversation. Encouraging sharing is so important. Share what's going on in your life. Share what's happening in your life. Of course, there are boundaries that we all have to have if we're going to be the ones who are moderators or mayors, quote unquote, mayors of our community. But if we can encourage sharing, and if we go first, then that's going to be a lot easier for other people to get involved. Also, continuing the conversation. I went to a conference a long time ago, and one of the main takeaways I got that I still think about is you would never walk up to someone in real life and start a conversation with them and walk away before they have a chance to respond, or even after they respond. You would never end the conversation there. And so I'm a big believer in keeping the conversation going and being just as respectful to people on the internet as you would in real life. And if you need to, you can set up expectations. Hey, I'm going to be dipping in and out of this conversation. I would love to hear your thoughts. Set up expectations so you're not the one that everyone is necessarily waiting on. And then once they get used to the idea, they will take over in the best way possible. And it's so much fun to watch and see that happen. The next thing I think that is really important is no shame. I'm a big believer in not shaming people. If you want to complain about your day on my thread, that's okay. If you want to be honest and admit that you are just now beginning like your anti-racist education, you can do that. If you want to talk about how you just really love white chocolate mochas from Starbucks and that makes you feel basic and people are like embarrass you about it, you can do that. That's okay. We call that on my Substack, we call that not ropping on your ding dong or not yucking anyone else's yum. We just let people live and learn. I think part of the problem is on the internet, we expect people to have fully formed opinions and to be at the end of their process, when really my space is about being committed to seeing the good in the middle of the process or the beginning of the process, knowing that not everyone is fully formed and ready to go. The next is you are not the star. This is really hard, I think, for people who have kind of based their following on personality. But something that I learned really quickly is that these they're mainly women. There are some dudes, and shout out to my dudes. Y'all are great. You have to let the community and the content be the star. Don't feel the need to necessarily keep inserting yourself. One of my favorite things that has happened on my weekly thread is we've got a narrative developing with several of our commenters. So one commenter kind of let us into this part of her life where she is starting to see this guy, and she calls him the boy, and we get updates on the boy every week, and it's like our own serial rom-com. It's been wonderful. It's very not it's not serious, but we're getting to know her. We're getting to know what's happening with the boy. We get our updates. We had one of our commenters get married a couple weeks ago during quarantine, and she hopped onto the thread the morning of her wedding just to say, like, hey, I'm getting married today. Thanks for this. This was a fun thing to read. And then so I emailed her and just said, Karen, we need your wedding picture. Do you have anything? Can we please see it? And she was so kind to send us a wedding picture, and we got to post it, and everybody got to comment about how great she looked. She looked amazing. And it was just a really fun way to prop up other people in the thread. It's not just about me. Listen, and once they kind of got the vision, they love on each other. They are sending each other Instagram DMs. They are sending each other Amazon gift cards. They're just loving on each other, and they're doing that on their own because they're great people. And they have a template, and they know that this is about the community, not necessarily about me. And speaking of developing community, that's something else that I really believe in. So it's hard to virtually love on people, right? It's remarkably easy, however, to be a weird internet creeper and stalk people so that you can care about them. What I mean by that is we often have people in my comment thread who mention, oh, we just found out we're having twins, or, we're getting married, or my wedding was canceled because of the coronavirus and I'm super bummed, or whatever. Find these people on social. Be a creeper. Ask for their baby registries. Ask for their wedding registries. Send them gifts. And it can be something small. It doesn't have to be anything huge. It can just be a small thing to let them know that you and the community are thinking about them. Something that we did when quarantine started, and a lot of us are moms. And so I know for me personally, it was super overwhelming that I was at home all of a sudden with my 3 children all day. I was expected to homeschool them, and I was completely overwhelmed. So the community, the Swipe Up community, had the idea to start a pen pal program. And we matched adults, we matched kids, and it was really fun. And some of them are still doing their pen pals. We also created something called an I Gotcha spreadsheet. And it was just a place for people who, hey, I lost my job and our power bill is due. Can anyone help me? And people who were able to help could Venmo them or Cash App them or PayPal them. We didn't do any purity tests about that. We just hoped that everyone was being honest, and we were able to really help people pay their bills or things like that. And that was a really cool thing that came out of the community, not from me, out of the community. I had people who essentially did all the pen pal matching for me. They just came out of the woodwork and they were like, I don't know, like, I have some extra time. Can I help you with this? And that's based on a way that they know that this is what this community looks like, and they want to step in and help, which was really cool. I think another thing that's really important in your writing is to ask questions, is to want to get to know them. I've always said that I think a lot of the internet is just people wanting to be heard. And I think we also have to listen to answers. We have to look at things from a different viewpoint. Now, I'm not a journalist. I don't have a journalism Substack. But I think letting that conversation happen and listening to people and hearing what they have to say, I think is really, really important. Another thing that I really love is, and I think Brene, listen, we're all big Brene Brown fans, and we want to model vulnerability. I'm a total mess up. I blow it all the time. I'm literally just a person who makes mistakes and is weird and fumbles often. And of course, this helps that I'm not considered like an expert or a real journalist. But I think it's really important to have honesty. Of course, we have boundaries. Of course, we have things that are private and we don't share with the internet. But I think it's important when you are sharing that you model vulnerability and you are okay with being wrong. You're okay with being called out. You're okay with apologizing when it's important. And then finally, I think that a lot of this is just being a human. Respond like a human. You are a human. There's this veneer that I think we want to put up so that we look like an expert, or we look like the person who has it all together. And I think that is important to a point if you are an expert, or you do have a journalism Substack. Like, yes, we want you to be the experts, but you're still a person. And what I've really enjoyed is getting to be human with other people on the internet. So I think, going back to the original question where why are you talking to strangers on the internet? I'm not anymore. I'm talking to strangers who are my friends, my frangers, and they are encouraging. They are wonderful people. What started as a way that I hoped publishers and traditional publishing would notice me or pay attention to me is now just a really lovely community of people who are diverse and strange and nuanced, and who feel like when they've worn their real life friends out about, in the text thread, or they need a certain amount of anonymity to process or grump or help to understand something, they have a space for that. And it's just a very kind space. And I think that that doesn't have anything to do with me. It has to do with them and the way that they've taken over wanting to put this space on the internet. So that is all I have about today, but I think there are some questions. Nadia, I don't know if you want me to just jump in here. I will. I'll just do that. So the first question here is, should you encourage your subscribers to unsubscribe if they're not opening your emails, even if they are your friends and well-wishers? That's a great question. I would say no. They might eventually decide to open. They might change their mind. It might be going to a bad folder. I would not encourage people to unsubscribe. I think people will do that naturally. And you never know when a subject line might hit with someone. You're welcome, Nadia. So I would say no. There could be a lot of other email marketing experts who say yes, but I would say no. The next question is, does the process of befriending and getting to know your subscribers change as you get more subscribers? How do you manage this process? Well, I think this is a really great question. And yes, the answer is yes. There's no way that I can keep up with 8,500 people on a newsletter list. There's no way I can deeply and meaningfully care for all of them. That's not possible. That's why I think you have to make the content not about you necessarily, and you have to encourage the community to step up. Someone who I think does this really well on Substack is Sarah Bessey. She has field notes, and she does a great job of really great job of empowering her subscribers to answer questions, to be a part of, yes, Sarah Bessey's newsletter link is right in the comments right there. It's great. She does a great job of making sure that people feel empowered to answer questions, and people know that it's a safe space to do that. And so I think, and I think also setting expectations is important. pointing out at the beginning, hey, I'm going to dip in and out of this, or I'm going out of town this weekend, so I'm not going to be able to see all of this. Lets people know that you're not just throwing a question out there and ignoring them. It's that you aren't able to engage fully right now. And I think that's important. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Do you think it's a good idea to create community, say a Slack channel for your subscribers, or is it not for everyone? This is not for me. I know lots of people who do this and they have had a lot of success with it. This is not for me because I need boundaries in my own life to say, this is when I'm quote unquote available and this is when I'm not. I think a lot of people have success with that because it is a great way to connect immediately with your people. But for me, I'm distraction prone in a major way. And if I had a Slack channel, I would just literally sit there like I did in 8th grade and not ever really pay attention. I would just sit in the chat and hang out with my friends. So I think it can be positive for lots of people. It's just not necessarily for me. Excuse me. I ask questions in my newsletters all the time, but rarely get responses. How do you ask a question so the reader really feels like they should respond, as opposed to just thinking about the question on their own? I think that's a great question. I think something, of course, like non-yes or no questions, asking, this is kind of, that's not manipulative, but if you have friends who subscribe, like real life friends who subscribe to your newsletter, and you want to get, sometimes people just don't want to go first. That's part of it. And so I think it's hard to be the first person sometimes. So ask your friends and say, hey, I asked a question on my newsletter. Would you mind popping in and answering it just to get the conversation going? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that helps people know, I'm not going to be embarrassed if I say something wrong, or what if I just say something and everyone thinks it's stupid? I think that those are great ways to kind of get the conversation started. Okay. Let me see. Next questions. What is the best tool to ask your followers or subscribers questions? Substack open threads, a survey tool that keeps it private? I think that depends on what you're looking for. For me, when I did my survey, I wanted that to be private. When Substack asked me to do this workshop, I wanted to know what was special about the swipe up for the people who cared about the swipe up. So I asked them just in an open thread and just said, hey, what makes this special? If you don't want to comment, you can email me. And then I also have used Google Surveys or Google Form, and that has been helpful if I want to keep something really private. Let's see. Okay, how important is it to make friendships with our subscribers? Is it to our paid subscribers only? So this is a great question. I think that I don't have paid subscribers right now. And listen, I'm really grateful to Substack for letting me have a free ride. Thank you guys, because it's such a good tool and it's such a great way to have community. But I know that a lot of people have levels and paid subscriptions. I think that if you have a paid subscription model, I think you have to give more to your paid. And I think that's right. And I think it's good. And, but I think you also have to give to those who can't pay or aren't in a place where they can pay. So I think it's sort of like it's leveling up just a little bit is what I would imagine. But again, I don't have a paid model right now. So I may not be the person to answer that. Okay, let's see what else here. What is one thing you tried hard to do, but it completely bummed? Oh my gosh, so many things. Probably when I wanted, I think sometimes when I ask questions or feedback, I know what I want to hear. And so I'm looking for things that inform that narrative. So I was writing, when I got 10,000 followers on Instagram, I stopped doing all my links in the newsletter. And I did that because, well, you can get them now. Well, a lot of people don't follow me on Instagram, or they thought that, or they wanted a place where it was all consolidated. Well, it was a huge pain. I didn't really like doing it. And it was frustrating. It took forever. So when I did the survey, what I really wanted everyone to say is, you don't have to do that anymore. But they didn't say that. And so I think it was looking for a way to support my own narrative of what I wanted to do. Now, that was okay if I didn't want to do it, but you also have to be okay with people not agreeing with the thing that you agree with. I think you have to be okay with doing your own thing, or asking the question without having it inform the narrative that you want it to inform. Let's see. Okay, how long did it take you to reach your current numbers of subscribers? Did you do any paid advertising on social media? No, I did not. So I started with 0, and then I got 6,000 while I was on MailChimp. And then since I've been on Substack, which is, I think it's been like a year and a half, maybe something like that, it's grown 2,500. So I didn't do any paid advertising. I just talked about it on social. I asked people to share on social. I said, hey, like for a while I did, like, if you will share this, I'll pick someone and I'll send you a thing. Like a little, like a Starbucks gift card or whatever. I'm very into treats. I'm like, I want to monetize treats. So that was really helpful. So a lot of people would share it. I love this newsletter. Or sometimes they would just do it on their own. And that brought a lot of people. Or they would, hey, I liked this article that she posted, or hey, this is a good essay that she wrote, that kind of a thing. Ask, and sometimes you just have to ask, I think you have to ask for what you want and what you'd like. And people will often just come and carry the banner for you, which is really nice. Let's see. I only allowed subscribers to comment on my newsletter as a perk. What are your thoughts on this? I think I think that's good. If you're looking to move people into a paid model. But yes, Seth, my presidential platform is to monetize treats. I think that's a good idea. But I think that's a great way to get people who want to be heard and want to be a part of that community to support you. It's not for me, but I think it works for a lot of people. Okay. How much did your existing platforms like your podcast play in your ability to build community? Probably a good bit, I would imagine. I don't know for sure. I know a lot of people who are on my newsletter who don't know that I am on the Bible Binge, or that I work for the podcast, or anything like that. And then there are people who listen to the shows and don't know about the newsletters. So I think there's probably, the Venn diagram does overlap a little bit, but I'm not positive. It's probably a good bit. It probably all helps itself. It's like a big circle massage chain. You know what I mean? Okay. Do you remember the first question you asked in one of your posts? That's a great question. Here's something that I subscribe to, is that people want to answer weird questions about themselves. They want a space to share about the bad haircut that they got, or the celebrity encounter that they had, or something like that. Like, they want a space to share their weird story. And so I did that. I do that a lot on social media. Hey, here's a picture of me in 1994. This is my glamour shot. And I would also love to hear about any glamour shots or bad pictures that you have. And people, they want to share that. They share. I love hearing that. That's my favorite thing. And so I think that if you can ask a question that they're not necessarily always going to easily be answered, or it's not something that people ask a lot, They want to share, and they want to hear other people's stories. So that's been something helpful for me. I am using, Renee has asked what my mic is. It is a Shure. It's a very nice mic. Thank you, podcast. Okay. Let's see, what else? What is the one thing you would do differently if you were to start today? I don't mean for this to be like a MailChimp bashing thing. But I think that I wish I had started out on Substack. I wish I had started there and built community on this platform instead of having this sterile and distanced way to communicate with people in the beginning. So I think that is my answer, because I love you, Substack. I love you very much. Okay. I'm trying to find, Nadia, I'm trying to find more, or I'm trying to look through these questions because some of them are, how do you decide which goes into a thread or a full post? So if I'm writing an essay, I usually will try to do a full post. But I do Friday threads all the time. I try to do them every Friday, and I've succeeded so far. And they are just a few of my favorite things, like maybe just like a little, like, this is how my week was. I'm living in a dumpster fire, or my kids are never going back to school, or whatever else. And kind of starting off the conversation with what's going on with me, what's going on with everyone else, and then just some links and stuff that I loved. And that usually is always a thread. But longer essays and things or sponsored emails that I get, I often will get requests from publishers from books that I really love, authors that I really love. This has happened just like a couple times where anything, I'll just do it as a post. And but that's just for me. I don't know if that's for everyone else. Okay, I think that might be all of the cues, maybe. Okay, Cheryl, yes. So you incorporate a lot of outside links into your newsletter. Yes, I want to share on Friday, I have something called a Little Treasures thread. And it was just a place where, like, when I was really sad about the impeachment hearings, I needed some joy. Like, I just needed to insert a little bit of joy into my life. And so throughout the week, I would collect tweets that I liked or articles that I liked and things like that. And I'd just share them. And it was a great way to build community, and it was a great way to make me feel better and other people felt better. And so yeah, a lot of outside links for mine. And then how much time do you dedicate to answering comments? This is a really good question. I've 3 kids. I have a full-time job, and I just can't be on my phone all the time. I want to be. That's a problem personally for me. But I think that I try to do, like, I set a timer, and I just go, okay, I want to answer now. I want to look at these now. It's different times a lot. It's not often, it may be 15 minutes here or there. It may be, okay, well, my son just went down for a nap and the girls are going to have some quiet time, so I'm going to hop on for 30 minutes or whatever. And but then when I'm done, I'm done, and I put it away, and I try not to look at it again until it's time to pick it back up. Let's see. I think that might be, how replicable do you think your way of talking to readers is? I think it depends. I think if you're doing like a serious journalistic Substack, it may not be helpful. You may not want to be making friends with your subscribers. But I think if you can set appropriate boundaries with yourself at the beginning, then I think it's an easy way. I think it's easy. I really do believe in the timers. I believe in focusing on one thing. I'm going to answer comments, or I'm going to respond to emails. I can't, and most people are very accommodating. Nobody has ever been like, I commented and you didn't answer me within 30 minutes, so I'm unsubscribing. And even if they do, like that, okay, I'm sorry, bye. They aren't your people. So, and then I think that there's one. I think there's one more question. How do you just start? I want to do this, but I don't have a blog or email. Any thoughts? The worst thing about starting is starting. That's like the dumbest advice. The dumbest, like when writers talk, like famous writers are like, tell me your, like people want to know like what your best writing advice is. And they're always like, just write. And you're like, that's dumb. Like, okay, I know that, but really that is the only way to get something started. You have to start writing and then you have to let people know that you're doing it, which feels weird. So like self-marketing it feels bizarre sometimes and it makes you feel gross sometimes, but people don't know that you're doing anything unless you tell them. And so I think that those two very basic things are the best way to start. I know that's not helpful, but I think that those are true. Okay, so I think that may be it, Nadia. Do you want me to just?
Okay.
Oh, there.
Hi. All right, let me come back. I'm going to be in this little corner talking to you because, technical
Can
stuff.
You hear me now?
I managed to dial in, just so you know, from my phone, which was really helpful, but then I couldn't do that and be on the computer at the same time, but I did listen to most of your talk and it was really great. So thank you for Q&A'ing yourself. You were just like an insane Wonder Woman. I don't know how you did that, and you were responding to chat, and you like gave a presentation. So clearly, like, we don't need to do anything. We're just going to put you on screen in the future and walk away. So awesome job. Thank you. I'm going to share Erin's newsletter again just in the chat so everyone can see all the things she's been talking about. And then, yeah, thank you so much for an amazing presentation. I think a lot of people got a lot out of it. We did like initial announcements of these like 3 workshops. So this kind of like wraps up the first series of workshops that we're doing, but we did confirm another set of 3 speakers for a bunch of upcoming workshops. So please pay attention to the blog, and we'll have them on the events page. We'll be announcing those soon. Hopefully you like these. If you ever have any feedback on stuff we should be doing differently or anything like that, you can always drop me a line here. I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you again, Erin, and thanks everyone for coming. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.